We've all learned how to figure out, how to do Zoom and Facebook Live and so forth, but it's become so important in our ability to reach farther than just our face-to-face, which are super important. But when we are doing communications and trying to reach people where they're at, I am so thankful that we have technology and the support from the city, very minimally. All of us have had to learn to do this ourselves to make sure that we, the city council members and community members, can use technology to get information out to the community. So that said, again, welcome to the first edition of Coffee with Cathy for 2024. We are on the other side of snow and ice. We're not on the other side of winter, but we're going to get there. Spring is coming. I've got little starts from my daffodil bulbs are like this. Just there are little beacons of hope going, I know spring is coming and I'm going to get ready to bloom at the right time. Welcome to Diane Watson from the Chemeketa Community College Board of Education, Betty Hart from the Kaiser Fire District Board of Directors, and the Kaiser Community Library Board of Directors. I'm going to share a few things going on in the city. So let me do that line that we all hear all the time now. I'm going to share my screen and let you see some pictures and some information about what's going on in our community. So let me go to that share screen. There we go. So first up, let's take a little step backwards but forwards. The holidays, yes, we've concluded a very successful holiday season. Congratulations and thank you to all of the people in Gubser that made this year's Miracle of Lights one of the most successful ever, providing over 148,000 meals to people in our community through the cash and food donations. The generosity of the people of Gubser to have this event in their neighborhood every year cannot be overstated, and the leadership team that made it happen. So I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce, City of Kaiser, members of the Gubser neighborhood, and the Marion Polk Food Share for coming together. John Moore, who donated the use of his property for the collection site. So stay tuned for more coming up this year. But before you put all your decorations away, we have one more thing to do, and that is the call to artists for the holiday card for this year. A few years ago, we figured out while you're in the mood, while you're still thinking holidays, do the art now rather than try to do it in the fall. And that's been wildly successful. We've had great entries. So during the ice storm, some of you got your art supplies out because you needed something to do. While you're waiting for things to thaw, send those in. There's the QR code on the screen. Go to the city website. You can click on that and get us some great art that we can share for the holiday season 2024. Want to thank Chris Patterson for the award-winning entry this year. The card was absolutely beautiful. Actually, I have it right here. And it was based on a quilt. So I'm going to stop my screen share and see if I can get this into the camera. Yeah. It is. I know it's backwards, but again, I'm doing this myself. So Chris Patterson was the artist who turned this in. And so get that inspiration going and let's get those holiday cards for 2024. All right. Also coming up, and you've been seeing a lot of this on the city website and in the media and so forth and so on, is the city of Kaiser has been doing something that we haven't done before. And that is a strategic plan. Let me see if I can get that picture up here. Okay, are we seeing that? Hopefully it's the right picture on the screen. Let me see if I get the right one up here. So about a year ago, with the new leadership in our executive leadership team for the city of Kaiser, we've had a lot of turnover. We've also done our goal setting kind of based on what we as the city staff and city council have been hearing, but really haven't reached out into the community. So at the recommendation of our city manager, Adam Brown, said, let's do something more. Let's reach out farther. Let's get more input from people about what we need to be looking at longer term. Because if you don't plan your work to work your plan, you're going to end up chasing things that may or may not be the most effective and efficient for the people of Kaiser. So we needed to hear from people. Well, again, sorry for croaking. We have a well thought out draft, and we are wanting more input. We've gotten so many great comments. We've looked at everything from soup to nuts, and we've realized that this is a conversation starter in so many areas that we've never explored before. What a fantastic opportunity to engage our community outside of our individual spheres of influence, but to reach more broadly and include the people from throughout our community. So please go to the website, please follow the link, give your input. We're going to be going forward with more conversations about different elements while we put together the plans for this coming year. Based on what we've heard so far, we're going to use this opportunity to get even better and more input into how we are planning Kaiser for the future. So please be involved with that. Part of that has been taking a very, very old document that most of us did not know even existed and bringing it up into this century. So this last Thursday, we had a work session with our very hardworking traffic safety bike ped committee. People go, oh, well, what do they do? Talk about bicycles? Yes. Walking? Yes. Getting around town safely? Yes. All the things that matter to the people of Kaiser. Well, we had something that had been adopted in 1999 called the Neighborhood Traffic Management Program. And I've got a paper copy here. I mean, see how that's a really old logo. And what was in it was the first attempt to try to put together a program for people to bring their ideas and their input into our neighborhoods. We hear from people all the time, but what we didn't even know was that an attempt was started way back in the 90s to get that into a process. Thanks to the leadership of the Traffic Safety Bikeways PED Committee, they've dug into that document. They've gotten input from the community, and this was the first time we've walked through it as a city council to give our input and to talk about what our next steps. We had a great conversation. Please go to our website and click on the video. That it was videotaped and it was recorded, so you can see it on kaisertv.com. Give your input. They're going to be doing some more work on that, how we can be more proactive and responsive when people bring needs to our community so that what we build works, is effective, and is appropriate for the different applications within our different neighborhoods. One size does not fit all, but we know that in Kaiser. That's why we take our time and do the work to make sure that we get it right. We've got a couple of examples around town with some flashing beacons for speed. We also have a new pedestrian crossing table by Cummings Elementary. All of that came because of the input and feedback from our community and then working together to find appropriate, cost-effective, and safety-directed improvements. So another thing that Kaiser has taken the lead on in the last few years is to help our businesses to be safe and secure. We know that there are people, some of whom experiencing homelessness, some of them who have other issues, who have gone onto our business properties and have either tried to stay there or to be there for a longer period of time than they should and not for business. So a few years ago, the collaboration between the Kaiser Chamber and the Kaiser Police Department let businesses know that they can put a letter on file for trespass. So normally the police has to contact the property owner. Do we have permission to go on your property? As they should. Property owners have the right to allow or not allow public safety onto their property when it's not an ongoing emergency. So what our businesses have to do every year is renew that letter to give our police that permission to more rapidly and more efficiently respond to what they see, or a called in complaint going, we have a problem with this individual, trying to either set up a tent or trying to take over a space and impede business from happening and access to that business from the public and customers. So we encourage every business, every property owner to get that letter of consent renewed for 2024. It's really worked well, and our police and code enforcement do a great job reaching out to people and getting them where they should be and can get the resources, services, if necessary, that they need, rather than have to react. We like to respond thoughtfully. So get that letter turned in for 2024. So speaking of the chamber, I'm going to switch a little bit. The City of Kaiser is, of course, a chamber member, and we are a proud sponsor tonight of the Kaiser's First Citizen Awards Banquet. This annual event highlights the work done by volunteers throughout our community for education, for public service, for Merchants of the Year, and the First Citizen. So we look forward to seeing many of you tonight at this wonderful event to celebrate Kaiser in our quintessentially Kaiser way. So they're not on this morning, but I want to give a shout out to our Kaiser Chamber of Commerce, which works very hard on behalf of and for our local business community, keeping Kaiser strong. Another way that our Chamber of Commerce continues to provide support for businesses in our community is the Kaiser Network of Women. Next month, luncheon will feature local consultants, Tammy Levin and Katie Martin. So we encourage women leaders in our community to come to the Kaiser Network of Women. You don't have to be a member, and you don't even have to buy lunch, although we do enjoy supporting the host, which is the View at the McNary Golf Course. So come on down on February 7th for that monthly event and get to know the Kaiser Network of Women. Another area that our Kaiser Chamber of Commerce has worked very, very hard is in collaboration with other chambers with the Business Resource Center. It used to be business recovery, but we're past that now. We want to go into long-term sustained success. They had to reschedule the Small Business Success Summit. You know, that whole ICE thing that happened? Yeah. So they didn't want people out and about. It's been rescheduled for April 3rd. Please go to the website for the Business Resource Center and sign up today to be part of the Success Summit. It's what we do. We build on sustained, effective success for our businesses in our community. So this is what's in my queue of pictures. At this point, I want to turn it over to Betty Hart to talk about the library. But I'm going to go to the next picture because I think it really tells the story from this last week. Betty, I'm so glad you're on the program today.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here. And this picture is particularly important because it shows the people who, all of whom are volunteers, showed up at the library outside of regular hours to open the library for people who needed to get inside and be warm. So it's really great that we were able to do that. And a big thank you to the volunteers who made that happen. When I thought about getting out on the street myself, I went, I don't think so. And so these people were brave enough and got to the library, opened it up, and made it available to people who needed a place to be warm.
Oh, and also tea, I understand. Tea and cookies.
Oh, well, I hadn't heard that part, but great. That's, yeah, I mean, what a treat. And yeah, I can't say enough about how great our volunteers are and the things they do to make a difference, not only for the library, but because of what they do for the library, for the community as a whole. So that's really so positive. And look at those smiling faces. Yes, we have a lot of wonderful activities coming up in February. And the first one is crafting at the library. So here's an opportunity for you to make a Valentine's Day card. It's open to all ages. Come on February 2nd, 1:30 to 3. And I believe crafting supplies will be available for people to make their cards with. So I think that's a great opportunity if you like to do a homemade card. I know you got
Well,
a lot, but yeah,
so those are a few things happening at the library, and there's so much more. If people are doing their New Year clean out and so forth and want to donate books, can they do that anytime?
pretty much anytime we're open, we'll take books. One of the things, almost all of the books in the Kaiser Library were donated. We have purchased very few books over the years. And what we do when someone donates, that we have some people who go through the books, pull out the ones that we think will make a positive addition to our collection at the library. And then the others we store away for our semi-annual book sales. And so that way the books get reused and reread. And needless to say, we can't use all the books in the library that are donated. There isn't enough room for one thing, but it really helps for us to add to our collection, because sometimes, people have bought a new book that's kind of great and they don't care about keeping it. And so they pass it along to us and we're happy to have it. And then a lot of others that get into our annual sale.
So, switching hats then, Kaiser Fire, I've got some pictures to share, but I want to start off with something that all of us got in the mail.
Oh,
And that
yeah.
is this.
Yes. And that's one of the things that I sent to you, the defensible space. I'm not sure exactly if it went to every household or to a limited number in terms of using the overhead camera kind of thing to see where there are likely to be hazards. But this is something everybody can do, and that is to walk around your house and see where you can make a difference with respect to defensible space. So, one of the things, I mean, I don't know about other states, but Western Oregonians are really into bark dust. And so we all have bark dust around, our houses on our over. And they are, it's a wonderful thing for a lot of reasons, but it can be a fire hazard because they dry out and it doesn't take much to get them going, especially now that we seem to be having more dry summers, so it makes them even more vulnerable. The other thing is if you have trees or shrubs that are up against your home, those can be particularly hazardous because if they catch on fire, then they can catch your house on fire pretty easily. And I know when I moved here into where I now live, there were 3 very large arborvitae up right on up against the house. And I didn't realize how smart I was when I had them removed because and now, especially when we plant them and they're small, we don't realize how much they can become a fire hazard as they get big, and now they're up against the wood of your home and that sort of thing. So if you got this brochure, take a look. You can also go to the Kaiser website. I think there might be a fire website. There might be some information there, but it's common sense really is to look around and see what you have. The Kaiser Fire District and Marion County Fire District, and I believe one other got a joint grant from the state fire marshal to do this project. And I think Marion County Fire District is a lead on it. And people throughout Kaiser, whichever district they're in, can might have gotten it. So it is an important thing. And as we think about, towns like Paradise, California, where the whole town was just virtually wiped out in a matter of short period of time. Some of the fires that we have seen in the last few years are just huge. And, up the canyon here, where a lot of area was completely flattened and people lost everything. So because we live relatively close together here, it's easy for a fast moving fire to spread, and fire without wind or whatever can move pretty fast anyway, but get a nice dry wind with it and you could wipe out a whole neighborhood in no time at all. So it's important to try to keep look at the things that can help keep from creating more hazard for yourself and your family.
Well, one of the things that the Kaiser Heritage Foundation did, for example, speaking of bark dust, everybody loved the bark dust and get blown in every year. And when the Heritage Board was looking at the cost of maintaining this very lush, overgrown, landscaping around that 100-plus-year-old building, there was conversation that started going, how do we not only simplify it, but also make it more fire safe? And now you see the river rock, which drains, so it's good for the environment. You don't get the pooling and flooding, but you also don't get the bark dust fires that happen because of it. It's a win-win, and it's way easier to maintain. Right. But I thought it was a great example of leadership for the Heritage Foundation Board to go, this is our oldest usable building in Kaiser. Maybe we shouldn't put fuel around it.
Yeah. Excellent point. I was talking with my friend and neighbor about, what should we do here? And we don't have bark dust everywhere, but we have tried to, when we had our big bushes torn down, they were chipped up right on the spot, and we recycled that pretty quickly into our yard. And I'm going, maybe that wasn't such a great idea now. Anyway, but river rock is a great idea for replacement. And I have seen that kind of in other places where, it's like, gosh, they don't use, chips here. It's kind of strange, but smart idea. Very smart idea. Yeah. There are some other great things going on at the Kaiser Fire District that I want to share too.
Let me go to something that Lee shared this picture because I took it from your website because had to be ready for everything, and there y'all go again.
Oh, yes, which gives me an opportunity to give a shout out to the fire district staff and volunteers who were working this week in the hazardous conditions, because when we have an emergency, we need them as quickly as possible. So I appreciate personally the extra effort they all had to go to be able to respond to emergency calls this week. And of course, we rely on them throughout the year, but and I'm sure there were extra opportunities for them to respond with icy sidewalks and that sort of thing as people got out, probably had difficulty with falls and that sort of thing. So yeah, thank you for
Well,
showing.
I had to laugh. There was at one point when things began to thaw out. There was a post from Kaiser Fire District going, okay, folks, stop. We're getting all these calls from people thinking, oh, good, I can go out again. And zip, off they went and fell. So I shared it and on my page, the Mayor Cathy Clark page, I said, let's save the ice capades and stuff for the Olympics. The rest of you are going to end up on your butt and on YouTube. Let's not do that.
Yes. Good point. Very good point. Yeah. Well,
So I wanted to give a shout out.
yes, that's very good. Well, and I want to talk about something that's coming up here. You have on the screen emergency preparedness, a series of workshops. So this is a great opportunity for you to learn more about how to be prepared in an emergency. All of the events start at 6:30 p.m. at the fire station, and you should sign up ahead of time. You do not need to attend all of them if you just want to attend one or two. And as you can see, there's an introduction, basically how to be ready for the kind of situation we just had. So you have some people, of course, lost power, excuse me, during this time period, and so needed to have some backup plan because of that. So, and then part two is how to be prepared for a bigger time period, and which is also important because we're all waiting, of course, with bated breath for the big Cascadia thing, and then the third part three takes into consideration kids, pets, and other things. So that's an important one. And then last but certainly not least, first aid and how to prepare for that, because depending on the emergency, you may or may not be able to get a response from police or fire in as timely a manner as you need because of the emergency. So, and there is the expectation that if we do have a big Cascadia kind of earthquake, that whole neighborhoods could be cut off and emergency response may not be able to get there at all. So anyway, I encourage people to go to the Kaiser Fire District website, kaiserfire.com, and you can sign up for the emergency preparedness website there. So that's great. Thank you, Cathy, for putting that up there. And and yes, we are hiring thanks to the community who passed our levy this fall. And as we have taken a look at our budget, we're starting now to expand the our personnel, number of personnel, so we have more responders. And we, believe it or not, we only have about 10 or 11 people on duty to respond to emergencies every day. And that, you know, sometimes they're all gone and we need to get a response from one of the nearby fire districts. Takes a while before people would be on board, obviously. But if you're interested, you have, we are particularly interested in hiring single role paramedics. So you don't need to have the fire training to be hired here, and you would work then on with the ambulance for the most part, although you might sometimes be riding on a fire truck, but providing paramedic services. And then we have several members of our staff who came on as single role paramedics have been able to be promoted to be combination firefighter paramedics, so they get their pay is a little higher, and it's a fairly generous, I think, benefit package for anyone who's interested. So I'd encourage people who are interested to apply.
Let's see. Well, that goes into the schools. Anything else on fire Betty,
Yeah,
before
I just want to mention the car seat clinic. It's been very popular. The next one is March 8th. And anybody who's interested in the car seat clinic, they can show up. It's from 1 to 3. But if you need help getting a car seat, you can go to our website and find the information on the clinic, and then it'll tell you how you can apply for some assistance in getting a car seat. And so there's still a cost involved, but it's quite a bit less than if you were to buy one outright. So,
well, and I got to tell you, those car seats, they are wonderful. They really protect our precious children,
uh-huh.
but they are complex to put in if you haven't done them before. And having somebody who knows how to walk you through it, depending on how old is your car, does it have little tethers in it or does it not? There's so much that you need to know to figure it out. And just go to talk to somebody who already knows rather than spend a lot of time on your YouTube videos trying to figure out, do I have the right one to put it
Yeah,
in? It's worth the time and effort to get the car seats right
yeah,
for our precious little children. So
yeah.
thank you, Kaiser Fire. This is a big effort. Anne-Marie Storms has done an amazing job making sure that she's training other people that do it, can help you get your car seats put in properly.
Yeah, it's really the only clinic situation in the area, and she does work with people from other experts from other agencies who come in together and work together that day to do the clinic. And so, yes, that's such an important service to our community. I agree. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I want to shift over real quick here. Chrissy Hudson, she represents Kaiser on the Salem Kaiser School Board, and I super appreciate her volunteerism in doing that very important job representing our community. She has a second job, and oftentimes she has to work Saturdays and can't join us, but she wanted to make sure that I shared a few things with you. So if any of you have students in your home that are going to be juniors or seniors next year, now is the time to get in and apply for one of the CTEC programs. Our Career Technical Education Center has 10 different strands of career preparation, from law enforcement, residential construction, diesel mechanics, and now aviation and drones, which we already had before, and so much more. The students that participate and take classes through either CTEC or the on-campus career technical education programs have a significantly higher graduation rate. Many of them go on for certificate programs or degree programs at Chemeketa Community College or other trade schools. They end up with higher income right out of high school or out of the certification programs without debt. And the most part is that they have almost all of them graduate high school successfully. Last year, CTEC had a 100% graduation rate. Beat that. So parents, family members, community members who want to encourage your young person to get great marketable skills, both in work and in life, look at CTEC and Career Technical Education. FAFSA, and all of us who've had kids go through school or know young people who have gone through school know that, oh my gosh, here we go again. We got to do the FAFSA form, which is a federal application for financial support. Even if you don't think you're going to need it, they cannot emphasize enough. Fill the thing out. Don't, cut yourself off at the knees by going, I'm not going to need it. I'm not going to bother. Diane Watson, Chemeketa, they need to fill this out, right?
Absolutely. Even if you're applying for scholarships and things like that, and you think, well, I don't need financial aid, that's financial aid. You do need to fill it out because you may need it.
Yep. So get online. According to our McNary College and Career Center, right there on the McNary campus, you can walk in, get fantastic support through all of the funding financial programs. They said there are some problems this year, so get in early to our College and Career Center right at our world-class McNary High School to get help so that your student can get the financing they need to continue their education and training and preparation for career that they need. So get that FAFSA done. Now, one of the things that McNary also does extremely well is our theater, music, performing arts. And later this month and the first weekend in February, the show this year is Mamma Mia. Now, I don't know about all y'all, but I'm a huge ABBA fan. So when I saw this movie, it was fantastic. Well, I know that the McNary Performing Arts students are second to none. They truly are world class. Get your tickets now to come support our student performing arts programs and come and see Mamma Mia at the Ken Collins Theater at McNary High School, January and February. Super looking forward to that. Let's see if I can get this to move forward. And I think that is the end of my pictures. It is. So yeah, I just bought my tickets last night. You can go online to buy the tickets to the McNary shows. And so that way you can plan go to a local restaurant for dinner. We've got great places to eat right here in Kaiser. And then you could do dinner and a show, and you don't even have to leave town. How about them apples? That's Kaiser for you. We have it all right here, world class all the way. So speaking of world class, is our world class Chemeketa Community College. And it's always a pleasure to have Diane Watson here to share what's happening with our community college that's providing always evolving and improving opportunities for our students right here in the Mid-Willamette Valley. Diane, I'm going to bring up your slideshow so you can talk through, again, more great stuff happening right here in our area for education and career. Ready?
Well, Cathy, I'm really happy to be back on the Coffee with Cathy show and be able to share some of the things that Chemeketa is doing, because it just amazes me how progressive they are. This is something that really has been near and dear to my heart, because a lot of people just simply cannot go to school for a long time. They're dislocated workers or displaced people, or they just need to get a job. And so what we are looking at is more and more short-term credentials. Some are non-credit, some are credit. We're looking at how we could grow the non-credit into credit. You know, they could complete so many hours and get a credit for it, and then they could go into a career pathway that would lead to a job and get some kind of credential, and then they could get eventually they could work on up to getting their associate's degree, and then even beyond that, their bachelor's of applied science and leadership and management. I think this is the way we need to go. We need to have lots of stop outs, because life just happens and you can't just commit to 2 years or 4 years of education at once. So I'm excited what we've done. And so we're going to talk about non-credit options. You can get credentials and you can get out and get a job with just some hours in class. And then there are credit options in 1, 2, and 3 quarters. You could get different kinds of credentials. This one of us are truck driving, and that is an amazing program, because in 4 weeks you can get out. And I know of people who've been hired at $70,000 a year with a $5,000 sign-on bonus. The barrier to that program is it's $5,000. Having one-on-one in a truck is very, very expensive. And so what we have been doing is advocating for the federal government to allow financial aid for much shorter times. Right now, you need to go really 2 terms in college to get financial aid. So we have that. And And then, so we have the commercial truck driving, we have apprenticeship programs. One of the things we have is a cultural competency certificate, and this was in quite a bit in demand because we're becoming more diverse. We want to know how to communicate. We want to know what other people's barriers are, what they're, we want to be able to have some good listening skills so we can understand where people are coming from and make our workplace as friendly as possible. Every one of our board members went through this cultural certificate credential. We have that training, and a lot of the people at Chemeketa, but also a lot of governmental agencies, other community college, and we were one of the first to come up with the cultural competency certificate. So let's go ahead. There are short-term credit credentials, and second here. I'm gonna find it. There's lots and lots of programs. We have 48 programs where you can get short-term credentials, and I'm just going to kind of go through here and show you what we have. In 3 terms, 1 year, you can be ready to take the bookkeeper professional certification test. Data analytics for accounting. Again, you could get a certificate in that or credential. You payroll, tax preparation. Tax preparation, you can do taxes in just 1 term. So that's another thing. Payroll. You want to get a job at payroll, 1 term, you can be prepared for that. Business software, auto body, again, just 3 quarters. But remember, the things that were less than 2 quarters, you can't get financial aid for right now. And literally, I've gone to DC and lobbied so that we could do this. And we almost had it through last year. We had the Republicans and Democrats were kind of in line with this, and then something blew up at the last minute. And so it hasn't gone through, but I'm not going to quit on this one because, you know, truck driving and short-term trainings and things like that, they get people jobs. They keep their houses. They keep food coming in. And so, and you can build on them. Most all of these can be built on, like we've got a 1 year, we've got a 2-year auto body. Well, you've got 1 year, you get your foot in the door, and then you can come back and do more. It's just like our connections with CTEC and the high schools. They can get their foot in the door, but then we provide with additional education and training that helps them progress in the field and leads to a better paying job. So anyway, and we have a basic warehouse certificate for just 32 hours. And building inspection is another really good job, and that's 4 quarters, and you can become a building inspector. So let's go on to the next one. And I'm not going to go through all of these because we have 48 of them and we only have so much time today. But then the other thing that we have, is there the next slide? Anyway, the computer numerical control operator and drafting. You get into drafting in 1 year. Web developer, 2 quarters, and get a job in there. Basic corrections, lots of jobs out there. You can get that in just 3 quarters and then go on and get your associate degree. So you can work at that. And then some of these programs are offered also in the evening by web, so you can get them on computer. You don't at a distance, and you don't have to come to class, which is really nice for working adults. So these are some more variety of things. And although I said that there's problem with paying for the really short-term training because you can't get financial aid, Future Workforce Initiative has some money, and also you can get some things through a WorkSource. Sometimes they will have money to help pay for the real short-term training. So let's go to the next one. Some other things: irrigation technician, legal administrative professional, and that's really for somebody who has some skills and now wants to work as a legal secretary or something like it, or legal administrator. Apprenticeship programs, management, dental assisting, pharmacy tech. You just go on here. Micro business operations certificate. That's 2 credits. EMT is 2 credits. It's 2 quarters. EMT is 1 quarter, but then you can go on and add an advanced EMT and so forth, clear up to paramedics. But that's like 6 quarters to do that. But in procurement, you want to get a job in procurement, 2 terms. So I think you have an idea of all the variety of things. And the thing is, Chemeketa is continuing to look at this. They're looking at what they can do and how they can convert non-credit courses into credit courses and then into certificates and pathways into different types of jobs. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. Yeah, as I said, covering the cost of non-credit and getting that short-term Pell Grant through is really necessary to really make this thing very, very strong, because people who are out of work a lot of times don't have money to be able to take the non-credit courses, and yet they need the short time to be able to get into a job. And then the length of the time, these are some issues that we feel, is making student wraparound support for all of these different types of short courses. And then the time it takes to develop a credit credential. So those are challenges that Chemeketa sees as we're moving forward. And some of the things that are in development right now are credit for prior learning. So if you already had some experience, you put together a portfolio, and this can help expedite. Maybe you've been in the military and the credits don't quite match. Well, you put together a portfolio, they can evaluate it. And this is in development to do this, because it's in labor intensive, and we've got to figure out how to fund it and who's going to do it. Credit for prior certification. You got a certificate a long time ago. We can give you credit. We're looking at drone training, and basically our drone training is kind of an add-on to, because drones are being used in all kinds of things. So this is kind of an add-on. You're going through a program, and there's an opportunity. If you had a credential in drone training, this would really help you find a job. Hospitality apprenticeship, internships, and a non-credit medical assisting program. So we're moving, and we're partnering, with high schools and CTEC and Willamette Academy. But I have to tell you, I'm excited about this, because I think this is the way of the future, and it fits our community. But also, Chemeketa has been doing so well with grants, and we landed another big one. And I told you that we got 3 grants. One was for Champus, which was to help our child care center. It was over $2 million. And then we got one for Future Oregon, which was over $2 million. And then we got one to work with Portland State on helping incarcerated individuals get a bachelor's degree. But the latest thing we got was, and it was in the Kaiser Times as well, an article on it. But what's really unique about this is it's an education grant to help rural student Kent College. So it's going to be a partnership program with the high schools in rural areas, because only 29% of individuals between the ages of 18 and 24 in rural communities are enrolled in high school and higher education, compared with 48%. If you live up the canyon, it's more difficult to provide the 2+2 classes that we have, like at McNary, where you pay $30 and you can take as many 2+2 credits as you can during the year. But if you're at a small school, they don't have teachers that have the credentials to be able to do this. Well, this is to expand that program. But what is really unique is that Chemeketa got one of these grants. The U.S. Department of Education is awarding $44.5 million in grants to 22 higher education institutions, including only 8 community colleges in the nation. We landed one, and it's going to really expand and create more access. In Oregon, this is the article from Daily. It's a community college daily article magazine. In Oregon, Chemeketa Community College will expand career and technical education, dual credit courses, develop hybrid career and technical education models, enhancing, advising, and bridge for transition to college, and more with a $2.2 million grant. And so out of this $44 million, we landed one of the 8 community colleges in the nation. We landed a grant to help. And so Chemeketa is just every area. You can't imagine what's going on. It's just a great institution and always looking for another avenue to help our community. And I think the reason that we get so many grants is we deliver. And it's just a quality institution, and it's our Chemeketa, as Cathy said. Cathy, you're
There we go. So, again, part of our new conversation is I have to unmute. I have to screen share. Things that 4 or 5 years ago were not part of our conversation. Diane, thank you so much for your work and the work of the Chemeketa Community College Board of Education, the leadership of Dr. Jessica Howard and the entire staff at Chemeketa for being so responsive to the needs of our businesses and our students. And that grant is just one of many ways that Chemeketa Community College continues to deliver what we need right here locally for our Kaiser and greater Mid-Willamette Valley community. I am always excited to hear from you, and thank you for coming on the program month after month to let people know about the gem we have right here in Kaiser and Salem and Marion County with Chemeketa Community College.
Thank you.
So that pretty much wraps up a lot of the news and views from today. Looks like this weekend we're going to have some sunshine and maybe we'll finish thawing out. I really want to encourage everybody in this community. A lot of our small businesses suffered because of closures and so forth during this ice event this last week. And as always, what you do is you show up. Kaiser shows up. So let's continue to show up for our local small businesses and make sure that they know that we not just love them, but we love them with our business and making sure that they can be successful long-term in our community. I want to thank Diane Watson from the Chemeketa Community College Board of Education, Betty Hart from the Kaiser Fire District Board of Directors, and the Kaiser Community Library Board of Directors for joining me today on the first edition for 2024 of Coffee with Cathy. Next month, we'll be back with more news and information for you. Be safe out there, Kaiser. Thank you so much. It's been a great joy sharing with you today. Have a great day.
Thank you.